Okay, without further delay, let's start the webinar. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Thank you for joining our webinar today. So our topic today is regarding monitoring security appliance and backup solution with PRTG. So we will talk about Sophos, SonicWall, and Altaro. How do we monitor these three solutions with PRTG? So before we start, we shall start with our agenda. So there will be some introduction about us, SecureOne Distribution, and also Paessler. And also we will start our main topic on how to monitor the three solution. And also we will talk about what is the new of PRTG. And also at the end of the webinar, we will have some Q&A section. So without further delay, I will introduce you all to our Business Development Manager, Ms. Sharon Chow, to kickstart the webinar. Thank you.
Right, thanks, Paessler. So hi everyone. So good to meet here again. All right. So today I would like to have some just introductions. All right. I think you're also aware that actually for SecureOne we've been established since 2008. We are 14 years in this network security industry as value-added distributors. All right. So today we're having this. I would say is a join together with the Paessler PRTGs to advise you all what actually PRTG can do also with the existing solution that we are doing, like SonicWall, Sophos, and Altaro. Of course, if you actually have a customer using different other firewall like Cisco, even FortiGate, or even other solutions, you actually can use Paessler PRTG to do the monitoring. All right. So, and just to highlight to you all again, SecureOne Distributions always is a partner centric. Okay, and then we would like to provide our value-added services on the pre-sale support, on the installations, even on the after-sales support, on the maintenance, even on the training to our partners. So actually, feel free to actually contact us if you have any inquiry. We can assist you all together on this. And then also for Paessler team, I mean, they also have a team here. We also can work closely with the principal to assist you all to actually gain more opportunity to close more sales. All right, basically. All right. So today we also are happy that we actually able to invite Mr. Aaron there. He's a Paessler PRTG's pre-sales engineer for Asia Pacific to provide the presentations. All right. So Mr. Aaron, I pass it to you.
Okay. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for the time. Right. Okay. So let us just kickstart. Just to talk about Paessler for the APAC region, actually. All right. So actually for Paessler, we are headquarters in Nuremberg, Germany. So we are a German product. Okay. So we have more than 500,000 installation in more than 195 countries. All right. So actually we have company with all sizes, for example, from SMB to going to enterprise. So a lot of different segments also do use our PRTG. So just for your information as well. Okay. So our founder is still alive actually. If you see the name Paessler, the Dick Paessler, actually our founder is still alive. It's not a very far distance kind of things. He's still alive actually and well today. All right. Okay. So moving on for the Paessler APAC. Okay. So we are headquarters in Kuala Lumpur. Okay, based in Kuala Lumpur for our APAC, full APAC team. So we do have a marketing team, we have a sales, we have even customer service, and even for technical service. Like I myself is in technical service, is for the pre-sales, and also we do have technical support as well, based out here in Malaysia. All right. So of course we try to as much as possible to support in different languages. For example, in English, in Mandarin, Cantonese, and Bahasa. So we have a diverse group of people that can speak all these kind of languages as well. But of course, officially we will do support in English. Okay. All right. So before we jump into how to monitor for the Sophos and the Altaro and also for SonicWall, let me give you an overview of PRTG for those who are maybe not so familiar with PRTG. All right. Okay. So with PRTG, we are actually using one solution to monitor everything, in a sense that, for example, you have your switches, your firewalls, okay, even your servers. If you have cloud, for example, you have AWS clouds. All this we are able to help you to monitor. Okay. Even for let's say you have some industrial okay, equipments. For example, they do support Modbus, they do support OPC. If you have heard of all these things, they are able to support as well. So it's not just only purely an IT infrastructure, but also even in the industrial as well. Okay, so how do we do to monitor that? Okay, we use all different kind of methods to monitor that. Okay, so for example, using SNMPs, using API, ping, NetFlow, MQTT, all this for the IoT. Okay, all these are different methods we can use to monitor them. Okay, and also we can monitor it not just only in a single locations, but in multiple locations as well. Okay, how do we do that? All right, it's by using the remote probe. Okay, if you see, patient can next also. Okay, if you can see on the diagram, sorry, patient, can you go back a bit?
Sorry, I think the slide's not coming up.
Or if you don't mind, is it okay? Let me
maybe I share you the.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'll be better. Thank you.
Okay. Can you share it now?
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. All right. So how do we monitor it everywhere? All right. It's by using a remote probe. Okay. So if you install PRTG, you install the .exe file. For example, you have the core server and the local probe. Okay. So the core server, you can think it like a brain. So it can help you to do your monitor, help you to to display your data, do your reporting, do your notifications, everything will be done by the core server. And then you have the local probe. So this local probe is just like help you to get the data. Okay, for example, you have different devices. You have, let's say, for example, you have SonicWall firewall. You have, for example, your switches, your servers, everything like that. All this will be done using a local probe. Okay, for the local LAN. Of course, you have different branches. For example, you have one in Kuala Lumpur right now. Let's say, for example, in SecureOne, it's in KL, it's in Old Klang Road. Then you have another branch, for example, in Penang. All right, so you can use the remote probe to monitor the branch as well. So this remote probe will be free. Okay, so you do not need to pay anything extra. Okay, so you can install it, and then you can also monitor the branch office as well. Of course, the limiting will be the number of sensors that you have. All right. Okay, and of any sizes as well. Okay, so you can use also multiple PRTG servers as well to able to monitor even a larger environment as well. Okay, and also all these are inclusive within the PRTG. So all the monitoring features you see actually whether you're using a smallest license to the largest license, for example, PRTG 500 to PRTG XL1. So all the monitoring features are included inside. So we do not limit, for example, a smaller license only has certain features. The larger license has more features. All are inclusive. So we do not have any add-on modules or add-on, all these kind of things. For example, you see your map, your notifications. For example, I want to monitor my server, switches, everything is all inside. So we do not have any add-ons and all these kind of things within PRTG. So we also do support unlimited probes as well. For example, we do not limit, for example, you want to install 10 probes, you have 10 different branches, you can do that. Okay, we also have what we call a failover cluster, which is the HA as well, within the same license for your first installation. Your first installation a master, and then your second installation, you can have a HA. Okay, within the same license. All right. Okay, so after this brief introduction of PRTG, let's dive in. I think this is the main agenda for today, actually, to let you see with different products I've been carrying, like right now in SecureOne, how using PRTG can maybe able to monitor them. Okay, first one, we have a look on the Sophos. All right. Okay, so of course, with PRTG, we do have what we call generic SNMP sensors and ping sensors to able to help to monitor this. I think as you all know, most of the equipments nowadays, they do, for example, your network for your security, they do support SNMP. All right. So in order to monitor Sophos, so you can use initially all these generic SNMP sensors already. As long as you set your settings correctly in the firewall or your community string, all those set correctly, you should be able to monitor them. So these are some of the generic one you can see. Okay. Maybe let me just go through and then I'll show you a live demo as well, what we can see, hopefully to show you as well. All right. So we do have this, for example, you can check on the CPU, for example, for the traffic. You want to monitor the port traffic. You can use the SNMP traffic, and then you want to check on the uptime, how long has been up for this Sophos firewall, and then you can check on the disk free and the memory. And of course, maybe you're thinking, for the firewall, I should monitor something even deeper. For example, other than this, I want to monitor even in greater details. How do I do that? Okay, we have this tool in PRTG. We call it MIB Importer. Okay, another good news, it's free actually. You can download it from our website. Okay, you can get the MIB from the manufacturer. For example, even maybe you can get SecureOne to help to secure it. For example, like in Sophos, you can download it from the firewall as well for the MIB file. So you can use this tool to import it to the PRTG. All right. So after you import it, then you can select using a sensor, PRTG, we call SNMP library sensor, to put it in. So with that, you can see in greater details of your Sophos firewall. Let me just go into the demo and let you see what we can see. All right, using the MIB, for example. Okay. All right, can you see my demo?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So let's say, for example, for Sophos, all right, like I said earlier, we do have some of the generic SNMP sensors or ping sensors. For example, you can see ping, you can see different port traffic, for example, all right, for example. And then the disk free, your uptime and CPU load, all these are the generic SNMP, which already have in the PRTG. Of course, using MIB file, you can see even greater details, which I've loaded in here. For example, I like to check some of the HA stats, for example. Then you can check, hey, currently this is disabled already. You can monitor like this, all right? Or maybe you're already enabled, then you can tell you what kind of different states that you might have, all right, for the Sophos. And also maybe you want to check on, let's say on the services, whether they are running or not. You can check as well. For example, some of the Apache service, your database service within the Sophos itself, we can able to monitor using the MIB file. As long as the MIB file able to have, then we can able to monitor. All right, for the Sophos firewall. Okay. I think this is what we can see. For example, what some of the license date as well, we're able to see as well. Okay. So let's say, for example, I want to see my license. Is it subscribed? It is subscribed currently, my base firewall. Okay, you can even check on the license. Because all these things we are extracted using the MIB file, what Sophos is sharing, then PRTG will be able to help you to monitor. It's relatively simple. Okay, it's not that like a very difficult kind of things. Actually, it will take you like 10 to 15 minutes to able to do all these kind of things. As long as your SNMP, everything set correctly, you put your MIB file correctly, everything will be done relatively simple actually for this one, in order for you to monitor. Okay. All right. And then maybe let's go back to the slides. Okay. So this one will be used what we call SNMP library sensors. Since you have a big list of MIB file, you can load it in, help you to monitor. All right. So these are some of the things you can see as well. Okay, like I showed in the demo earlier. Okay, next, then we'll talk about how can we monitor SonicWall with PRTG. All right, so just for your information, SonicWall is actually our PRTG technology partner. So we do a partnership so that we have a closer integrations with the SonicWall as well. So they have a better visibility. So we have the native sensors for it. So not necessarily you must load in MIB file, but we already have a sensor built in together to able to monitor for the SonicWall. Okay, so initially same. You have the generic SNMP sensors to monitor your firewalls, CPU, memory, all these kind of things. But the difference is we have to have a few dedicated sensors actually to monitor for the SonicWall. The first one will be on the system health, and the second one will be on the VPN traffic sensor. Okay, let me just go back to the demo again. All right, so let you have a look. Okay. Right, so for SonicWall here, if you can see, all right. So initially also the same. For example, you want to test ping, for example, whether connectivity is okay or not. Okay, you have the uptime or the port of the traffic, you can see, all right. So the difference here is, for example, we do have a native sensors already, okay, a built-in sensors to monitor SonicWall, right? Let's say for the first one, we have the system health. All right, so you can see here, this is already built in. So you can monitor, for example, your CPU usage, your memory usage, or connection cache for this to monitor on the health of the SonicWall. And of course, maybe, for example, I want to monitor on the VPN traffic. We do have that as well. All right. So let's say, for example, this one, we do have for the VPN traffic. For example, you can check what is the transmissions and the encrypted packets. All right. So you can monitor on the traffic for the VPN as well, using the native sensors that we have. All right. Of course, maybe you're also asking, I know SonicWall have these two also sensors, but what if I want to monitor also certain very specific thing? For example, you also similarly, very easily, you can use the method just now like Sophos. You can load in an MIB file to see, for example, if there's something specific you'd like to have a look. All right. So let's say, for example, you like to check on, for example, anyone connected to this SSL or not. For example, you set up an SSL, all right? And maybe, for example, let's say the firewall status, for example, what is the CPU, current CPU, you want to dive in a bit deeper, for example, all right? You can check on the CPU, RAM, the management CPU, and CPU utilization. You can do that as well, all right? Using the MIB, okay? All right. And let's go back. All right. So, and finally, how can we monitor also the product SecureOne right now is carrying on the Altaro VM backup, all right? So in order to monitor this, you need to use what we call a script sensor. Okay, the EXE script sensor, do not worry. Actually, we do have in the website of what we call a PRTG sensor hub. Later, I'll show you. Actually, there's a script already written. Do not worry, you don't need to write your own script for this. All right. So you can able to monitor the server backup by checking some of the corresponding event logs actually of the Altaro. Okay. And also another sensors we can use is what we call to monitor the WMI event log sensor. All right. Let's go into the demo and I can show you a bit deeper. Okay, and just for your information, for this Altaro VM backup, you have to install where the probe is actually to use this sensor. All right, let's see. Okay, this one is one of it. I'll show this one first. All right, so this script, what does it do is, for example, you have a instance, for example, you like to monitor. Okay, for the script itself, what it does is use what instance you want and then how long you want to check it. You will check on the event logs actually. So it'll let you know whether you have a local backup done in the last 24 hours. You check on the Windows log actually for this one. So this script will pull from the event viewer to able to monitor. For example, you also within the scripts, later I can share you the link as well. Okay, you can tweak a bit. For example, I want to monitor the last 48 hours. You can change that, or different instance, you can change that as well, right? Using the script. So this one will check on the logs whether this has been done. Okay. Another way to monitor your Altaro backup is using the event viewer. Okay. So how does it do is, for example, for Altaro, we do have a list of event ID actually in the event viewer to able to monitor them. All right. Let's say, for example, I'm using, okay. So the event ID for Altaro, specific to this, we have event ID 5000 to 5007. Each of it have a different events. For example, it say whether the backup is failed, or backup is okay or not. For this one, I'll monitor the backup is failed. Okay, so they are using the event ID of 5002. Okay, so you have to use this sensor. Okay, WMI event log to monitor this event. So this is for the local backup. All right, the event ID, if it's local backup fail, it will able to trigger. So always do remember, for example, if you want to get triggered for alarm for this event, do set it to a bit of a figure lower than 0. Okay, a bit lower, slightly above 0. Okay, so that it will trigger an alarm for you. Similarly, for the one just now, to check on your backup, okay, if your backup, they did not detect your backup, for example, in the last 24 hours, Oops. Just go back that one. Okay. Like for example, this one, they check on this instance, then they do not did a backup in the last 24 hours, it can trigger an alarm, right? It will tell you fail. So you can be alerted, for example, hey, I'm trying to do a backup already, but it failed. Then you give you alerts, for example, if you have your customers, your network administrator, your customer to a network administrator, they can check on it as well. Okay, to value add. On top of they have the dashboard, you have a monitoring tools to able to tell you this one, to be notified. For example, you are using email, you're using Microsoft Teams, all these kind of things, different notification within PRTG to be able to get you notified. Okay. All right. Okay. So, and slowly we're moving on, just to let you know, this tree is how you can monitor them. Okay. With Altaro, SonicWall, and Sophos. All these three things we have also carried by SecureOne. This is how we can monitor them in a greater level. For example, you are monitoring not just only on this, but you have other different products you can build in together. You have all these different sensors to monitor them in greater details.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes,
Yep.
as what Aaron says, that actually we are having this example for you, so that to bring some idea, and then of course you actually can look into other product, other brand as well. So because for PRTG, right, their licensing, they are not limited by equipment or by brand. You can actually work with the different brand as well. So in our chat there, right, there is a questions from this HS Dan, all right. So he's actually asking, what's the pricing structure for the PRTG based on the equipment monitored? So as I mentioned just now, the PRTG licensing does not based on the equipment. So their licensing is based on the sensor. The sensor here means that a value that you want to monitor, right? So it can probably, one device may cost you, by estimation, might be 5 to 10 sensor. Okay, it depends what you want to monitor. Like just Mr. Aaron has shown, different like CPU load, or the just like I mentioned, like SonicWall, there's a specific sensor available to monitoring on the SSL, on the VPNs, right? On the already predefined that. Okay, so this is also, it will become another sensor. So in that, to answer to HS Tan, that is the pricing will based on how many device and how many sensors that you required. So for PRTG license, they are start with minimum 500 sensor, right? So if you need more info on this, yeah, you can feel free to contact us, all right? So I think now I'll pass back to Mr. Aaron. And then need to highlight again is, if you have any question, feel free to actually raise out the questions. Yeah. All right, yep. Aaron, I think now you want to touch on the new things in PRTG. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Okay. So just only to give some, for example, some of you, I think joining today, maybe you're a bit familiar with PRTG, you have used it a bit as well. So this is to give you an update, what is new within PRTG. Okay. So of course, there are some great news. Okay. So with PRTG, we are able to support a single sign-on currently. All right. You need to use it together with Azure AD. And of course, another good news is it's just quite recent actually. This one, we are able to also support a single sign-on together with Okta. Okay, this is something very, very new. So for example, if your customers, they're thinking, for example, for security and stuff like that, they're thinking, hey, for example, I want to log into PRTG, I need to support single sign-on or multi-factor authentications, you can consider this. PRTG do have that already right now. Okay. And also, okay, within the new installer, we do have, for example, if you install straight, of course you can. For example, if you are, since you're doing services for your customers and stuff like that, okay, this is something new within the installer. That means, for example, okay, I think this is the important one, is the community string. For example, you want to do initial setup with your customer, for example, because default, they will give public. Let's say, for example, your customer already changed their SNMP string and stuff like that. Let's say, for example, they use the name private, for example, then you can change it. Then you can do the auto discovery to discover the device with the correct SNMP. It'll be easier for you to do the setup for your customers. All right. So it'll be very, very more seamless. So once you install the PRTG, you can discover the device with all the SNMP and stuff like that, even in greater detail. Okay. And also next one, we do have what we call, just for your information, it's called PRTG hosted monitor. All right. So this one will be hosted by PRTG lah. So they have different regions. So the closest to us will be in Singapore. Okay. And also the new one, this one is something we are looking forward to. If you have used PRTG before, you know how it looks like and stuff like that. But PRTG, since we want to continue to provide the best user experience to our customers, even to our partners and stuff like that. That's why we are coming up with the new UI and RESTful API, right? Okay, so with this new UI and new RESTful API, so we designed the new web interface, for example, it's more responsive. And so we do have the new API. For example, if you want to do more integrations, it'll be even better, right? So this is approximately how it looks like. Okay, actually, you can even test it right now, but it's still in currently what you call an alpha phase. Later, if you want to go have a look, you can go to your normal PRTG setup. You can set up there. Okay, then you can see actually this activate new UI. Okay, but this is still an early stage alpha phase of if you have want to do testing and stuff like that, feel free to do so. Then you can always feedback to SecureOne, then the SecureOne can also revert back to us lah. For example, there's something you like to see more. This is something functional like more and stuff like that. All right. And also this is the new API as well. For example, you like to do some integrations and anything like that. All right. And also next one, what we call is a multi-platform probe. Currently, like just now I shared earlier on the overview, we do have the remote probe. That one most of the time you will support on the Windows, but in the future we will support different platforms as well. Okay, so yes, actually this has been requested by not just in a lot of countries actually, so we are doing it currently. Okay, so this one will be a full-size probe. For example, not just only support in Windows, all right, you can support in Linux if you're using Docker. Even for the Raspberry Pi, if you're using for the IoT and stuff like that, we are able to support them as a full-fledged remote probe, as to be like a, I would say, to help you to collect all the data from different sites. All right. So this is what we are going to do in the future. It's already have in alpha phase. We're going to improve it even further. All right. And of course, we have different verticals with PRTG. Like I said earlier, although we do all the IT infrastructure monitoring, all this, but we also venturing to call ourselves a monitoring experts. We are venturing into different segments as well to do monitoring. For example, you do it for industrial monitoring. For example, you are using the devices like Moxa, if you've heard about it before, all right? Then you have like Hirschman, all these devices, all right? We are able to monitor them. Okay, if you have industrial, like a factory, all these kind of things, they have, they have all this, they support the protocol, for example, Modbus, OPC, those are very common protocols used in the industrial. Then we are able to monitor them as well. So that at the end of the day, what we are trying to achieve is the IT and the OT able to monitor together within PRTG. This is what we call convergence. Because sometimes, most of the time, actually, they are separated. Okay, the IT and the OT. So they talk, like for example, you have a network administrator and a technician or engineer. So actually they're codependent of each other. But what we are trying to do is we converge them together to give you a single dashboard to easier to monitor. All right, rather than a hot potato thing. For example, a technician say, hey, I check all my equipment, everything is working. It should be on the IT side. The IT check everything is okay, then it's not. So you have the hot potato issue. So what PRTG is trying to do is to converge them all together. All right. And then we do have storage monitoring as well. For example, you have a H3 PAR, VM backup, all this we are able to monitor. All this we have our out of the box sensors as well. And then for data center as well, we are able to monitor. So most of the time, once you tell them we are data center monitoring, first thing you think of is to monitor the your switches, your firewalls, all these things that you have. But on top of that, PRTG can monitor those definitely. But on top of that, what we can help to monitor with PRTG is even for the data center environment. Okay, for example, you want to check on the temperature, whether the door all this got open or closed, or the humidity, we are able to monitor. How can we do that? First one, for example, we are using for the SNMP retail. If you have heard of retail before, I think it's considered quite famous to do network rack, all right, in data center. So we are able to do have a native sensors, which can integrate together with this retail CMC. So this one, the CMC will monitor, let's say, for example, temperature, humidity, smoke, all this kind of thing. Then we are able to integrate together, pull this data come in to able to monitor. All right. And we do have, for example, redfish. Let's say you have a Del I drag, HPI low. All this using redfish, we can pull all this data from there. Or you're using Lenovo X Clarity, we are able to pull data from there using the redfish. This is what we call a generalist. You need to enable the redfish protocol, then we're able to pull it in and monitor your servers. Okay. And PRTG, we are very, very open as well to show you what we are working on moving forward and stuff like that. So we do have a public roadmap to show you, to let you know what PRTG is doing, so that we want to make sure we are relevant. We get feedback from people coming in. So we are doing something that is relevant, what is required in the market. So we are very public about this. We do not hide, for example, how we want to move forward in the future. Okay. It's always good to have a look for PRTG roadmap. So what we are trying to work on, what we are going to plan and in the future. Also down here, the roadmap, we do have a feature request. For example, you want to see something to be integrated. For example, you can do a feature request as well. All right. So we have a lot of things working and planned. For example, like say this one, single sign-on with Okta, we do have currently implemented, is in the beta phase currently to do the test. Then you have for FortiGate, for example, we do have a native sensor. We are moving forward to have that as well. We have redfish sensors and all these kind of features. All this, if you see a small S here, that means you can do a survey. For example, you have tested it, you want to see something more, then you can feel free to feedback. All right. And finally, let's say you're still relatively new to PRTG. You're unsure on a lot of things, how to get it yourself started. And then we have also resources for you. Okay. Then you can, we have an e-learning module, which is called Getting Started with PRTG, to let you learn step by step how to use PRTG, from installations to how to add sensors, how to build a map. All this, we have an e-learning free for you. All right. You can step by step to learn. Of course, if you want just only a certain topics you want to look at as well, you're able to do that as well. We do have also a special webinar on demand. You can have a look, and even YouTube videos we do have actually. So this PRTG tutorial by Paessler in the YouTube is done by people from our headquarters. All right. It's not any third party and stuff like that to teach you how to use, for example, some of our sensors or some features. All right. And also finally, if there are some issues you are facing and stuff like that, always feel free to look at our knowledge base as well. We do have. Later, I can share you some of the links as well. Okay. And let's say, for example, some of the device you see is not listed inside the native sensors with the PRTG. Always feel free to look at our PRTG Sensor Hub. So they do have scripts, for example, some device templates inside as well. So they might already have to ease you to monitor some of all these devices, for example, that they have. Okay, that would be all I'd like to share today.
Right, thanks, Aaron. Actually, just now you did mention that Paessler PRTG actually not just to monitor on the IT equipment, but it also expand to the industrials, right?
Yep, correct.
Can you provide some example which industry that actually our partners can look into it to actually apply the Paessler PRTG or introduce Paessler PRTG to the customers? Okay,
there's a few verticals I can say you can go into. First one, for example, is a factory. Let's say they are using, I understand if you understand the OT environment, they do have their own SCADA system and all these kind of things. But what we are trying to do is to give them an overview of both together. Because at the end of the day, they'll interlink together. They'll depend on the IT also. For example, they're using Ethernet and all these kind of things. So what we're trying to do is to integrate them together. Or if you see devices like all this, if you have heard before, like Moxa, Hirschman, all these kind of things, is also something that we can do. All right. So they have all those are industrial switches. It used in environment, let's say, for example, in factory, in oil and gas. Okay, we are able to monitor them as well. If you see all these kind of things, you'll be able to like value add in. Let's say, for example, to upsell them some more instead of just monitoring on the IT, I would say. And also another use cases, I would say currently within our headquarters, we are able to monitor on solar as well. We can check on how much power generation, how much is being used. We even have charging stations to monitor how much has been charged out and stuff like that. We are able to monitor them. All right. Of course, all these things is a bit different from IT, so they are using a different protocol, which is why we are able to support it. The current and the most famous one would be Modbus OPC, and for the IoT, we are using MQTT. All right. So this is how we can able to help with PRTG able to help to monitor. On top of your IT, we are able to help with the OT. That's why we are trying to merge everything together to able to give you a single dashboard of view of everything.
So how about healthcare environment?
Yep. Okay, for healthcare environment, we do have as well. All right. So let me just show you. So these are, let me just go back. These are some of the protocols for the healthcare one. Let me just go back. Sorry. Okay, if you see here, this protocol, BCOM and HL7s are the protocol that use a lot in healthcare. All right. So for example, you have some imaging system. Let's say if you are doing X-ray. All right. They do have imaging system. They use a different protocol compared to our normal TCP/IP as well. So we are able to monitor that on the healthcare. For example, why is it important? Let's say you have the hospital system. All right. So they will be able to check, for example, how many beds, the patient's records, all these kind of things. Then you have another system for imaging. Let's say, for example, a doctor would like to pull up the imaging. All right, all these are using all this DCOM and HL7 protocol to able to help you to monitor. All right, because let's say, for example, let's say in COVID right now, then the patient is sick. Okay, maybe have cancers or anything like that. Then you have to do an X-ray, a CT scan, and stuff like that. Last time, of course, you need to, for example, I print out all the physical copy lah. Nowadays, very rare to do that. So what they do is, for example, the doctor have an iPad, so they have a own system. I want to see this patient record. Let's say Aaron, this record of my CT scan and stuff like that. Then they have to go to another system, which is the imaging system, to pull out to see in the in their iPad. Okay, so we can monitor using all this DCOM and HL7. Of course, the IT part also important. Beside the system itself, how is it responsive? Your IT, for example, using Wi-Fi, your VLAN, WLAN and stuff like that. Then we'll be monitored. That's why also with the healthcare, we are trying to converge everything together. It's rather than segregated. Because most of the time they will add in more, for example, for hospital one, the IT person will be taking up this portion as well. They say, hey, everything is considered IT, although it's for imaging, it's for hospital system and stuff like that. They'll put into the IT to handle it. So if they do not have dedicated, if they have all different dedicated systems, imagine how headache is it for the network administrator. So with PRTG, at least you simplify their work. At least they know, oh, actually the issue is coming from here, or the issue is coming from the Wi-Fi, for example.
Yeah, the good things, everything in one dashboard. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for that. And here actually, in the chat, we have a questions also from Mr. Dylan Moore. He actually asking, can it work as an event log server? And where we can do the query on? Can you help to answer for this? Yeah.
Sure. Mr. Dylan, I think what you're trying to do is trying to use PRTG as a syslog server. Is that right? If I understand it correctly. For PRTG, yes, we do have a sensor called syslog receiver, but the idea of PRTG, that syslog receiver, is not a dedicated syslog server. So we do not fully replace your dedicated syslog server. What that one would do is, for example, you have a few devices you like to monitor, want to monitor the logs in greater details. All right, then you'll be able to monitor. So that's the whole idea. Let's say, for example, I just want to monitor on my firewall. It's a very critical firewall. I want to see on the logs. Then PRTG able to help you to monitor that, to put in the logs, to come into PRTG. Let's say it hits a certain event ID, let's say, for example, then you can able to trigger an alarm. So that's the whole idea. So we are able to collect syslog or event logs or this, but we are not a dedicated syslog server. Hopefully that answers your questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Aaron. So yeah, hopefully it's Dylan, Mr. Dylan, if you have any further clarification, you can always just contact us for the more information. All right. So anything to highlight from Aaron? So far?
Yeah, everything is good. So if anyone have any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, maybe we try to actually just check around again. Yeah, if anyone have any question, yeah, you can feel free to actually just voice out, or maybe you can put at the chat room.
Yep.
So maybe Paessler, maybe you want to explain a bit about the quiz.
Yeah, we actually have come up with some quiz question that after the webinar, if you feel like you would like to know more about PRTG, so you can try to answer it in our quiz. The link that I put it in the chat box, so you can access from there. Yeah, just a short one.
Okay, thank you. So we hope today's session is actually will be more informative, and then some updates on the new things in PRTG. As Mr. Aarons have highlighted, PRTG no longer just on the network monitoring, but it also actually can touch on the others industrials monitoring as well. All right. So you actually can look into those relevant customers, especially like I mentioned just now on the manufacturing factory, or even on the healthcare system. All right, I believe for the hospital system, it's something very important to actually monitor together with the IT equipments, so that you can have the overview in one dashboard, how you make sure that every device is working functionally correctly. All right, so that the doctor can access the information immediately, right? So you actually can bundle the PRTG with for the customer, you can introduce to them. Yeah. So hopefully you all can have any question. Hopefully you can actually let us know. So far, is there any? I think no. Oh, okay, there's another question here from Sim.
Yep. Hi, Sim. For the manufacturing machine IoT, as long as the protocol that they have, we can able to support. Let's say they have using IoT, I think use a lot on MQTT. If they support it, we are able to monitor it. Or for example, all these devices, if they are going to a gateway, we can help you to monitor from the gateway itself. Like for example, for IoT, for the MQTT, they do normally have a MQTT gateway. We can subscribe to it and pull the data out to monitor on the IoT. Okay, hopefully that answers your questions.
All right, great. So yeah, IoT is also one of the important things actually, maybe that your partners can actually look into it, which PRTG can help to monitor as well, right?
Yep. Do remember just only these few protocols? I think common one. If you can see, for example, these few keywords: Modbus, MQTT, OPC, OPC-UA. These are the few keywords. If you see something like this, then that will be, we will definitely be able to monitor.
All right. So actually, if just for our partners, if let's say you have any inquiry regarding or monitoring on this, if you're not sure whether it can be support, you can always contact us, and then we also can help you to do a POC, a trial on that. All right. Yeah. So to make sure it is able to support and able to monitor. So here, there's another question here.
Okay, what if the IoT data are stored at the cloud sites? So for this IoT data, is it they are using their own gateway or stuff like that? If it's possible for me to share a bit. If they have their own gateway, if the devices have their own gateway already, they are not open to all these things, then we are not able to monitor. As long as if they are able to, let's say, to have MQTT for us to pull, then they're definitely able to monitor. It depends how they are built in. Let's say, for example, for IoT, if they are using this one called Beehive, if I'm not mistaken, is an MQTT gateway. It's actually located in the cloud. Okay. then we can pull out the data from them, because that cloud itself, they give this integration for you to pull out the data. Then we are able to monitor. It would depends on the provider whether they let you to have this integration to let you pull out the data. If they do not let, then we are not able to. Okay. Okay, then next question from Dylan. Do we have a battle card? In our public website, we do have actually. Let me just share the link. Right. You can have a look. All right. So besides just only for SolarWinds, so there are for other products as well. You can have a look within our public website for this to compare to other different monitoring tools. Okay. And just for everyone information, just now previously I did share 2 links as well. So it's just only the e-learning modules and also the YouTube tutorial as well, if you required it. All right.
Yeah, there's
of course, you have any questions and anything like that, I think you can also SecureOne will definitely be able to help you for sure.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay, I think that tutorial, that all this is actually also is very useful. Right? Okay, so thanks for Dylan, thanks for Simpson for the questions. So is there anyone have any other questions? I think so far not yet. All right, okay. If there's no the questions, no further questions, probably will be come to the end for the webinar. All right. But once again, we thanks for Aaron to provide the presentation today, and thanks for everyone's our partners to join today's webinar. Right. So again, just to highlight, all right, we are always here to provide the support in terms of the pre-sales as well, and also we can work closely with principal to actually provide the support, or maybe to see based on the customer requirement, we actually can advise how PRTG can help to do the monitoring for them. Okay, so yes, always please feel free to contact us. All right. And then we'll probably can send an email or just call us. And then we also, you know, can just help you to meet the customer to help to do a presentation in POC as well. Okay. So, Mr. Aaron, anything to highlight? Anything to before we end this?
Nothing too much, but really thank you, SecureOne, for hosting this today. Actually, of course, like Sharon said just now, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out to SecureOne. They have a great team to able to support you, whether in terms of sales, pre-sales, and stuff like that. They'll be able to help you, of course.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Aaron, and thank you all of our attendees today. Thank you for joining us today, and have a good day. And coming, there's a Raya holiday. Have a safe and happy holiday.
Yeah, have a safe drive, everyone.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.